I just got back from a meeting at Reed Muskegon, which is about a volunteer position tutoring reading, mostly for adults. They do some children. They're trying to incorporate families, but they're mostly for adults. And it seems like a good program, seems very interesting. Had an excellent meeting with one other person that's looking at volunteering there, and one of the guys that runs the outreach for Reed Muskegon. Very interesting, and I'm going to be doing training for that in September. And I've kind of been thinking in general about decisions, exactly what to do. I've been almost kind of stuck for, I'm not sure how long, a week, two, maybe 2 weeks, about writing. I haven't been writing very much. And it really comes down to that recently I was offered a job to go teach in China at a school, and a decent salary, not amazing or anything, but it was a couple of grand a month, and they would pay like half of my travel expenses and half of my room and board. So it's really fairly decent, and it's excellent, and it kind of triggered some of the stuff about the opportunities that I've had to turn down, about tutoring in France, about going to the computer coding school in California. And my decision making processes seem to not be working in general for life, for accomplishing anything in particular, anything great, and the stuff that I want, however you want to phrase that. And especially not now, where I don't have the physical capacity, especially the physical capacity to do some of these things. So my intuition is to go for a really intense hike and think about it. Right? That's like my gut feeling. And a lot of people talk about going with your gut, that type of thing. The only people that talk about going with your gut are the people that works for, right? The people that doesn't work for don't say go with your gut, which you'll notice most people don't. It just seems like a lot of people do. But that doesn't work. Going for a hike doesn't work because I can't go for a super intense couple-hour hike like I used to. I can't take the impact for a couple hours of hiking like that in my neck, oddly enough, which you wouldn't think hiking would affect your neck very much, but let me assure you it does. Or to go for a motorcycle ride and think about it, which don't even have a motorcycle. Definitely can't afford a motorcycle, so that's not an option. And then my my gut reaction is to, yeah, all right, I would take the position in China. I could probably be in China in a couple of months at the most. And of course, I'm not going to do that. Right? So that's off the table. And then after you kind of eliminate all the options that feel right or feel good or feel like your natural reaction, I've kind of felt you feel a little stuck. You're like, oh no, all my things that I want to do that seem like I should do, that seem right, that are what I would do, I can't. So then I have to reorient and figure something else out. And it's really weird. So I think I'm in the right direction here. I have to get my decision making process outside of me. It can't just be an internal feeling. It has to be a decision making process that's outside of me somehow, on paper, I guess would be good. But it has to go from more of a subconscious decision making process to a very extrovert, explicit decision making process that is objective, that I can look at, kind of evaluate, and see the feedback that I'm getting on that. So that's what I've been doing with perceptual control theory, and really trying to get the subconscious decision making process to be a fully conscious decision making process. And this brings up this point about Reed Muskegon. Now, Reed Muskegon, if I volunteer with them, I have to do 1 day of training in September. And then if I did a one-on-one tutor thing, it would literally be like 2 hours a week. And I think it could definitely be fulfilling. I'm not exactly sure. But should that really be much of a priority for me right now, right? Like, I'm functionally bankrupt and I have tons of health issues. So 2 hours is kind of my work capacity for doing much of anything, really, which is kind of insane. Nevertheless, like, should I be dedicating that much of my functional time to something just for fulfillment as a volunteer service like that? I really feel like doing it, but I'm not really sure if that should be there in the priority list. So these are things I think I have to change from going with my subconscious decision making process to a conscious decision making process, one that works somehow. I have to change that up a little bit. And I know that Mark Cuban is a billionaire, right? Jeff Bezos is a billionaire. Ross Perot is a billionaire. They all have explicitly stated that how they make big decisions is through what Jeff Bezos calls the regret minimization framework, and where you look forward, you pretend like you're older, and then you look back on your life and you decide if making this decision you would regret it or not. And I don't seem to be able to apply that. I've tried, but I'm not really able to apply that for some reason, because if it works out good, then I won't regret it, and if it doesn't work out good, then I probably will regret it, because I only have so much time, I have so much energy, I have so many resources, I have this limited amount. So any direction that you choose, you're taking a huge amount of cost, because opportunity cost, right, which accountants normally don't calculate, but that's actually your major cost, because you can't dedicate resources to everything, you can't do everything. So whatever you decide to do, the cost is all this other stuff that you didn't do. That's opportunity cost. So the costs of everything that you do are huge. They're all the stuff that you don't do because of that thing. And I've obviously been making wrong decisions somewhere along the way. Now, those could be just a few, right? Like maybe just going to Africa was a bad decision. Maybe that's the whole thing. Or maybe I've racked up a bunch of bad decisions recently. Maybe that led me to that. Maybe that after that are why I haven't gotten better faster. I'm not sure. But it seems like my decisions haven't necessarily been great. Now, you could say, you could compare it to someone else that maybe wouldn't have survived Africa, or someone else that wouldn't be doing as well as I am right now. Or you could compare it to people that would definitely have done worse, most likely. We have to guess, right? But that really doesn't help me in particular. So I want to get the subconscious decision-making process that doesn't seem to be working very well to be a fully conscious decision-making process. And I've been working on that, and it's kind of had me stuck ever since I had that job offer in China, which I just wanted to leap at when I was talking at the guy. I was like, everything he said kept sounding better, and I was like, awesome. I really felt like saying yes. I rejected it because I need to. It's definitely not something I could adapt to right now. I'm barely adapting to my really easy, soft, safe, not hard environment here in West Michigan, where I'm really comfortable with family. I definitely could not make the adjustment to China, working full time in a school in a place where I don't know the language, with kids and parents, and doing all that travel. I probably couldn't make the plane trip without major complications. And then I'm sure I'm getting 2 chiropractic adjustments a week now, and I'm not doing that great with it. I was doing a lot better when I was getting 3. So I can't imagine how fast that would go downhill once I was in China. So for all those reasons and more, I don't have any money. That's another big one. But for all those reasons and more, I had to reject that offer. But it's kind of making me question everything. Not sure what I should be doing. Right? That's the big question, I think, for everyone, what they should be doing at this moment. And there's a lot of questions that go with that, and developing a framework around that. Some people obviously have very good framework, but I think usually I've looked at a lot of decision-making processes, but I think usually, even if they explicitly state, this is how I make a decision-making process, like pro and con list, that type of thing, most of it is still subconscious. Most of it is still internal. Most of it is tacit knowledge. Most of it is not explicit. They can't communicate it to you. So you're missing pieces, even if you try to take someone else's decision-making process, right? Otherwise, everyone would take Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Larry Ellison, Warren Buffett. Everyone would take their decision-making processes and be billionaires, which obviously doesn't work, can't happen. It's not replicatable. It's not duplicatable. So it doesn't happen. even though they write books and other people write tons of books on their decision-making processes, you still can't replicate it. So I have to change mine, which is a huge, huge endeavor. And I think perceptual control theory probably lends itself to that the best. But I also have some stuff in the works that I'm hoping changes that a little bit. This Reed Muskegon, it looks really interesting, like a good opportunity. I got contacted recently about another literacy program for elementary students, which I think would be really cool, but I'm not sure if I could really handle it. I've backed off the writing, which is horrible because I don't want to back off the writing. I need to dive into that more. I got a jury duty letter coming up in September, so just for a week. That'll be interesting. I've only gotten one before in my life, and it was for Michigan when I was living in Texas. So I called up and said, hey, I live in a different state. I have a driver's license in a different state. Why am I getting jury duty? And they let me go on that one, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get out of this one. So I'll do that coming up in September. And I've a meditation thing, which I'm hoping helps. It's a meditation intensive in October, and I'm hoping maybe something comes out of that. I think there's a real possibility for it. I know someone that did it, Vipassana 10-day intensive, and he said it's really intense. I talked to them about my spinal issues, and they're going to allow me to have a chair and make adjustments for that. So that could be good. But I need to change something. I'm always changing stuff, and I've been changing stuff, trying to adjust, adapt. That's what living systems do. They adjust, they adapt. And I feel like I've definitely made some progress health-wise. I mean, I definitely have. And my mother keeps pointing that out to me, which is very true. I mean, there was a while where I just laid in my room doing nothing. There was a while where I had such a bad headache I couldn't have had this light on, and I was barely conscious for long periods of time, and I had memory issues, and I had a lot of issues, and now I can read books and I can write, and so things have improved a lot. I'm a lot more physically active than I was, even though I'm a lot less physically active than I was further back. So I've come a long ways. I've made a lot of progress, and I still don't know the future exactly what to expect. No one does to a large extent, but I'm thinking my health will never return to the pre-Africa trip state, and I'm not sure how much I should count on, how much I shouldn't count on, which informs all of your decisions, which makes it really hard to make decisions, especially about a longer term future thing. And it really doesn't work to just like kind of live day to day like I'm living, because it's not really going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere kind of fast. So we'll see if I can turn the subconscious decision making process to a conscious one, and then change it so that my decisions start turning out a little better. And it'll be an interesting experiment. The stakes are high. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm fairly optimistic about it. But as the doctors say, we should probably manage expectations. But it's my best idea right now for fundamentally changing how things are going, how my trajectory is going, at least. So I have relatively high hopes.